Okay, so we've got this source material, right? A YouTube transcript. And it kicks off with well, a pretty eye-opening claim.
Which is?
The potential to pull in over $8,000 a week.
Wow. Okay. That's significant. How?
It says using tools that are, either super cheap or totally free, mostly AI, and Canva.
Right, Canva. Okay,
Yeah.
that number definitely grabs your attention. But what's the actual strategy here? The source must dive into that.
It does. It focuses on these things called list challenge videos. They look simple, but apparently there's this clever psychological design behind them.
Ah, okay. List challenges. I think I've seen things like that.
Exactly. And this material, it explores how these videos, they're kind of like a new take on a quiz, are just, well, absolutely exploding.
On platforms like YouTube Shorts, TikTok.
Yeah, precisely. We're talking millions and millions of views. And that translates, directly into pretty serious ad revenue.
Gotcha. So for this deep dive, our mission is basically to unpack the source material. Cut through the hype, maybe?
Kind of. We want to figure out exactly what makes this strategy tick, why these specific videos get so much reach, and honestly, how simple it seems to make them with tools most people can access.
Sounds good. Let's do it. So you mentioned list challenge videos. Can you break that down a bit more? What are they, and what's this psychological angle?
Well, think of a quiz, right? But it's structured as a list, and each item gets progressively harder.
Okay. Like, give me an example the source used.
Things like name the brand from its old logo, or maybe things only someone from California would know. Starts easy, then gets obscure.
Ah, I see. So you get hooked because maybe you get the first few right.
Exactly. Or you just want to see if you can get the harder ones. Or maybe you just get curious and want to know all the answers by the end.
It plays on that need for completion. We're just wanting to test yourself.
Right. It keeps people watching right to the end.
And that's gold for the platforms, isn't it? Watch time.
Absolutely. Their algorithms, they prioritize stuff that keeps users engaged on the platform longer,
So these list challenges, they're almost perfectly engineered to maximize that metric.
which triggers the algorithm to show them to more people, and boom, potential viral loop.
Okay, that makes sense. Let's talk money then. How does the earnings side work on, say, YouTube Shorts first?
Right. So on YouTube, creators earn through the AdSense program. YouTube runs ads, creators get a cut.
And for Shorts specifically, the payout is different than long form, right?
Yeah, the source mentions the RPM, that's revenue per 1,000 views, is lower for Shorts. Currently, based on creator reports at sites, it's hovering around 10 to 20 cents. Let's say 15 cents on average.
Okay, 15 cents per 1,000 views. So how does that translate?
Well, the source looked at one specific example video, over 23 million views.
Wow.
Using that 15-cent RPM figure, that single short is estimated to have brought in, over $3,400?
Just from one short video. That's not bad at all, actually.
And what's really interesting is how fast channels using this method can apparently get monetized.
Right, you need subscribers and watch hours or Shorts views now.
Yeah, and the material points to channels starting just a couple of months ago, already hitting millions of views and over 100,000 subscribers. They blow past the AdSense requirements pretty quickly.
That's impressive growth. But you mentioned the source talks about even higher potential on TikTok. Why the difference?
Two main things seem to be at play, according to the source. First, just scale. TikTok often has, even more users actively scrolling, and videos can sometimes get even crazier view counts than shorts.
More eyeballs, basically.
Yeah. The source gives an example of a TikTok account doing this, over 1 million followers, videos regularly hitting hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of views.
Okay, so scale is one factor. What's the other?
It's TikTok's monetization program, the Creator Rewards program.
Right.
It also splits ad revenue, but there's a key difference.
Which is?
The video has to be at least 1 minute long to qualify for payouts in that program.
Okay. So Shorts are, by definition, under a minute. TikTok monetization needs over a minute.
Exactly. And the payoff for that extra length, the RPMs on TikTok for those eligible videos, seem to be way higher.
How much higher are we talking?
Well, creator reports vary, obviously, but the source suggests an average somewhere between 40 cents and maybe even over $1 per 1,000 views. They use 60 cents as a kind of middle ground estimate for their calculation.
60 cents RPM versus 15 on Shorts, that's a big difference.
Huge. And that's where that massive $8,000 a week number comes from. The source looked at a specific TikTok account.
The one with 1 million followers.
Yeah, but they focused only on the videos posted in its very first month, the first 4 weeks.
Okay.
Adding up the views just from those initial videos in 4 weeks, it was over 55 million views.
55 million. In the first month. Wow.
So Apply that 60-cent average RPM.
Let me guess. That comes out to around $33,000.
Pretty much spot on. Roughly $33,308, the source estimated.
And divide that by 4 weeks.
And there's your $8,327 per week figure.
Right
From the start, potentially.
That is pretty remarkable, especially for a brand new channel just finding its feet.
It really highlights the sheer viral speed that seems possible with this specific format on TikTok.
Yeah, the source had examples of that too, right? Videos just taking off.
Absolutely. Like one account's video hitting over 5 million views within 2 weeks of starting, then another video from the same account getting 11 million views just 3 days later.
Whoa.
Another example, an account posts its first video, and just 7 days later, one of them crosses 5 million views. It can happen incredibly fast.
And that speed helps with TikTok's other requirement too, doesn't it? The follower count.
Right, you need 10,000 followers for the Creator Rewards program. But if your videos are getting millions of views in the first week or two, well, you're likely going to hit that follower threshold almost as a side effect.
The virality basically solves the follower problem very quickly. Makes sense.
Okay, so we see the potential. But you mentioned differences between the platforms. Besides just the video length and RPMs, what else did the source bring up?
A big one is just availability. Where can you actually get paid?
How so?
YouTube's AdSense program is, pretty much global, available in over 100 countries.
Oh, and TikTok.
Their Creator Rewards program is much more limited. It's only available in certain countries. The person who made the source video actually mentioned they couldn't participate themselves.
Why not?
They're based in New Zealand, and apparently it's not on TikTok's list of eligible countries for that program.
Huh. So you could be making viral videos, getting millions of views on TikTok, but if you live in the wrong place, you might not be able to monetize them through that main program. That's a pretty big catch.
It definitely is. Something for listeners to check based on their own location.
And then there's that length difference we touched on. TikTok needs over 60 seconds. YouTube Shorts needs under 60 seconds. How do you manage that without making two completely separate videos?
Yeah, the source laid out a pretty smart little workflow for this.
Okay.
The idea is you create your main video file to be just slightly over 60 seconds, say 60.1 or 60.2 seconds.
Okay, so that version is good for TikTok.
Exactly. You upload that one straight to TikTok. Then for YouTube Shorts, you take that same file, but when you upload it to YouTube, you use their built-in editing tool.
The one right in the app.
Yeah. And you just trim off like a fraction of a second from the end. Bring it down to 59.9 seconds or something.
Ah, clever. So one core video, two slightly different versions tailored for each platform's rules with minimal extra work.
Precisely. Just a quick trim.
All right, that seems practical. So let's get into the actual creation process.
Yeah.
How do you make one of these list challenge videos? The source breaks it down using specific tools. Can we walk through that?
Absolutely. It basically boils down to using Canva for the visuals, an AI chatbot for the questions, an AI voice generator for the audio, and then putting it all together in CapCut.
Okay, step one, Canva for the visuals. What's the approach there?
So you start a new project in Canva, specifically a mobile video format. The core idea is to use stock video footage as the background.
Just one clip.
No, you'd actually use several different short clips. Canva has a huge library. You drag one onto the canvas, make it fill the screen, then maybe trim it down to, say, 15 seconds just for building the template.
Okay, got the background. What else?
A key tip from the source is to edit the video background, turn the brightness down quite a bit.
Why?
So the text you put on top really stands out, makes it much more readable.
Makes sense. And the text elements, the title, the list.
Right. For the title, the source suggests using like a shape, maybe a rounded rectangle in a high contrast color like red. Then put your title text over that white font, bold, something clearer like Roboto. Position it nicely, maybe add a little lift effect to the text to make it pop.
Okay, title done. What about the difficulty levels and numbers?
Similar idea. Add text boxes for easy, medium, hard, extreme. Give them different colors, green, orange, red, purple maybe. Then add separate text boxes for the numbers 1 through 10. Same font, maybe white.
And you apply effects to those too.
Yeah, the source mentioned using that lift effect on the difficulty words, maybe turning the intensity up. Then, crucially, you group all those text elements, title, difficulties, numbers together.
Why group them?
So you can easily copy and paste the entire structure onto different backgrounds.
Okay, so you make multiple pages.
Exactly. The source suggested maybe 3 or 4 pages, Each page gets a different 15-second stock video background. You darken the brightness on each, and then you just paste that grouped text element block onto each page. Now you have your basic visual template segments.
Got it. And this is where that timing thing comes in again, for TikTok versus Shorts.
Right. Before you finalize the template, you'd maybe extend the duration of each of those 15-second clips, just a hair, like to 15.1 seconds each. So if you have 4 clips...
That adds up to just over 60 seconds total, 60.4 seconds.
Perfect for TikTok and easily trimmable later for Shorts.
Okay, visual template
Yeah.
in Canva. Step 2, getting the actual questions and answers. That's the AI chatbot part.
Yep, you fire up something like ChatGPT or Gemini or Copilot, whatever you prefer.
And you just ask it for questions.
Pretty much. You'd prompt it like, generate 10 fill-in-the-blank questions about 90s movies, make them progressively harder, suitable for millennials. You specify the topic, the format, the difficulty curve, and who you're targeting.
And just use the first list it gives you.
The source recommends maybe asking it a few times. Generate maybe 20 or 30 questions in total. Then you can pick and choose the best 10 to get the exact progression you want.
Good tip. Okay, questions sourced via AI. What about the voiceover reading them?
That's step 3, AI voice generation. The source highlights 11labs.io.
Is that free?
They have a pretty generous free plan, apparently. It gives you like 10 minutes of audio generation per month, which should be plenty for several of these videos.
Okay, so how do you use it?
You go to their text-to-voice tool, you type in your intro script plus the first question, choose a voice, the source recommended one called Callum, said it sounded dramatic, which fits the challenge style, generate it, download the audio file.
Okay, that's the first audio clip. What about the rest?
For the next audio clip, you type the answer to the previous question, followed by the text of the next question. Generate, download. You repeat that pattern.
So each audio clip, except the first and last, contains one answer in the next question.
Exactly. It makes lining up the audio with the visuals much easier later, and the very last audio clip is just the final answer on its own.
Clever. Okay, so now we have Canva visual template, slightly over 60s, and a set of AI voice clips from 11 Labs. Step 4 is putting it all together.
Right. And for that, the source uses CapCut, the video editor. Again, there's a free version that's really powerful.
What's the process in CapCut?
First, you upload everything you just made, the final Canva video file, and all those little 11 Labs audio clips.
Okay.
Drag the main Canva video onto the CapCut timeline. That's your base. Then, start adding the audio clips. You drag them onto the audio tracks below the video.
How do you space them out?
You just place them roughly equally along the timeline. If it's a 60-second video with 10 questions, maybe place the start of each audio clip every 5-6 seconds or so. The source suggests maybe 3 to 5 seconds apart for a longer video, maybe closer for shorter ones. You just eyeball it for now.
Got it. Video and raw audio placed. What's next? Captions.
Yes. Step 5, auto captions. This is a huge time saver in CapCut. You just go to the text menu, hit auto caption.
And it just listens to the audio and writes the text.
Pretty much. AI analyzes the audio track and automatically generates timed captions. You can then pick a style template, like a simple single caption, adjust the font size maybe. Those settings usually apply to all the captions at once.
That sounds incredibly efficient. Can you edit them if the AI makes a mistake?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You can click into any caption block and fix typos or timing easily.
Okay. Captions done. What about that animated progress bar we see in these videos? Step 6.
Step 6, yeah. That's also built into CapCut. You go to the Elements or Stickers menu, search for Progress Bar.
And just pick one.
Yep. Choose one you like, drag it onto the video preview, scale it up, position it where you want it, maybe near the top or bottom.
How does it know how fast to animate?
That's the cool part. You adjust the length of the sticker element on the timeline itself. So you make it start when a question is asked and end when the answer is about to be given. CapCut automatically adjusts the animation speed to fill that duration.
That is neat. Okay, progress bar added. Step 7 must be adding the actual answers visually.
Exactly. Step 7, add answers. You scrub through your timeline to the point where the voiceover says the answer to the first question.
Okay.
At that exact point, you add a new text box. Type the answer text into it. Choose your font, size, position it clearly on the screen.
And how long does the answer stay on screen?
This is important. You drag the right edge of that answer text box element on the timeline all the way to the very end of the entire video clip.
So once an answer appears, it stays visible for the rest of the video.
Correct. That way, viewers can see the full list of answers by the end. You repeat this process for every single answer. Add text, position, extend duration to the end.
All right. Visuals, audio, captions, progress bar answers. Are we getting close?
Almost. Step 8, according to the source. Add a ticking sound effect for the progress bar.
Just for extra tension.
Seems like it, yeah. You go to CapCut's audio menu, select sound effects, search for something like ticking timer or clock tick.
Find one you like.
Add it to the timeline, probably on a separate audio track. Position it so it starts when a progress bar starts. Then, crucially, shorten the sound effects duration on the timeline so it stops exactly when that progress bar finishes animating.
And you do that for each progress bar segment.
Yep. Copy and paste the sound effect or add new ones, lining them up under each progress bar section.
Okay, final touch is done. Step 9, export.
Step 9 is export. You hit the export button in CapCut, choose download, give your video file a name.
Any specific settings?
Make sure the resolution is set to 1080p, which is standard for mobile video, and set the quality to high. Then just click export.
And that's it. You have your finished video.
That's your finished video file, ready for TikTok as is. And remember, for YouTube Shorts, you do that quick final trim using the YouTube Upload tool.
Wow. Okay, so we started this deep dive looking at that really striking potential earning figure, the source estimating over $8,000 a week.
Yeah, quite a claim.
And we've walked through the strategy of these psychologically designed list challenge videos, and now a pretty clear step-by-step process using essentially Canva, an AI chatbot, an AI voice tool, and CapCut.
It's fascinating, isn't it, how a relatively simple format, when you break it down, can leverage these readily available tools, many free, to tap into huge viral potential on these major platforms.
It really is a potent mix of understanding viewer psychology, using accessible tech, and playing into what the platform algorithms reward.
Definitely. The barrier to entry seems surprisingly low, technically speaking.
So the big takeaway here, perhaps, a simple idea, executed well with the right free or low-cost tools, can genuinely gain massive traction. Which brings us to the final thought for you listening in.
Considering how quickly these videos seem to be able to gain views, meet those monetization thresholds, what's stopping you?
Right. What topic, what niche, what little area of knowledge could you turn into one of these list challenges, leveraging that hook, using these tools we just discussed? What could you create?